Which one are you?
Ooh, all right, y'all. You know what time it is. We want to thank you for joining us today on The Real. I'm your girl, China Doll, that's going to be bringing you that And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've got some for you up in here today, baby. We are speaking, ladies and gentlemen, with a 3 Purple Heart recipient up in here who served in the U.S. Army, Vietnam. Okay, I said not 1, not 2, but 3 awarded Purple Hearts. He transferred himself from living in L.A. as a postal service worker and went down to Detroit and became the Detroit Mailman. Now, you all have no clue who I'm talking about up in here, and I know you can hear the excitement in my voice, but he is now part of a documentary that is being put out by Rob and Lucinda Boyd. We've had them on the show before. You all know who them are with The Streets Don't Love You Back. Well, they have a documentary out right now, ladies and gentlemen, called Trapped in the Hood, and the gentleman that we are speaking with today is part of that and has given us his time. So welcome to The Real is Real. Without any further ado, Mr. Vernell Varnardo, a.k.a. Papa Snoop. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Oh, I am awesome, Papa Snoop. Thank you for taking your time out to come up in here with us on The Real is Real today.
You're welcome.
Now, I put some of your many accolades out there for the world to know, but please give them a little bit of your background in being who you are. We're not up in here to hound you about being Papa Snoop. That says and speaks volumes for itself. But we want to know about you, the man, okay? And how you got to be a part of this documentary. So please give them a little bit of your background if you don't mind.
Well, my background starts in my hometown, Magnolia, Mississippi, and I moved to San Francisco in 1966, drafted in 1968, went to Vietnam, won it 3 times, got a bunch of medals, came to the post office in 1970, worked in L.A. for 15 years, and I transferred to Detroit for 10 years where I retired at, and I have been with my son through his whole career from 1992, from deep cover up until right now. I've been in movies. I've been in videos. I was on the road with Snoop for a long time, for years. And me and Snoop, you know, like I said, me and Snoop was more like brothers and father and son. So I'm still in the business. I bumped into Rob and Lucinda Boyd when Snoop's mom passed away. And I had seen Rob a couple of times, but I didn't know he was from Detroit, and that's how everything started.
You see how he brought all that together for us, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. We're about to talk about this documentary up in here, Trapped in the Hood, and how Papa Snoop, the a.k.a. the Detroit Mailman, is relevant to that. Now, my brother, you were a postal service worker in one of the most drug-infested, gang-infested areas in Detroit. Now, before Papa Snoop, before you get deep into that conversation about things you've seen, ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to know now, back in his era, the mailman was the mailman, okay? The mailman delivered more than just the mail back in the day. He might end up delivering a baby. We just don't even know because that's just the way it was back then. And not only that, y'all didn't have the machines to read people's handwriting and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So the mailman had to be highly educated back then to figure out what the hell you had on that letter to make sure he could get it in the right box up in there. So we know outside of all of that, Norm, tell us please a little bit about being the postal delivery man in such an area and era.
Well, like I said, I did 15 years in L.A. But when I moved to Detroit, it was a different world because I started working at the post office in Detroit on 8 Mile and Illinois. Right across from Becky's Keyboard Lounge was the jazz club. And back then, when I moved to Detroit, I was brand new. And I didn't realize there was that many drug dealers there. Now, L.A. had drug dealers. They was here and there, but Detroit had drug dealers. Maserati Rick, White Boy Rick, Demetrius Holloway, Boogaloo Brown. There was a whole bunch of guys back then that was dealing drugs. But I saw them every day because I was a mailman. I turned a blind eye to it. The reason why, because I was really just like them. The only difference was I was delivering mail and they were selling drugs. I'm a street person. So they really gave me a game in Detroit. Detroit is a city that I love dearly. And like I told a lot of people, don't never talk about Detroit. If you never lived there, you wouldn't understand Detroit. I lived there for 10 years, so I understand Detroit.
Well, I know one thing. People from Detroit, they will go back. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
No matter where they're at. And mentally, they never leave.
Right.
Trust me when I tell you that, ladies and gentlemen, I have a brother who will not leave that city no matter what, you know. He won't leave. That's just where he wants to be, period. So I get it. I get it. So now, if you don't mind, without dropping any names per se, tell us one of the most terrifying encounters you had, and then one of the most pleasant, memorable encounters you had being a mailman in that era.
Yeah, but the worst moment I had been in Detroit maybe about less than 6 months. I was delivering mail on Stoffel between North Fork and 8 Mile one day. It was cold as hell. Coming from LA, I wasn't used to cold weather. And I seen this car and parked on, just parked. It was running. So I made my loop. And when I made my loop, this one of the guys, he got out of the car, knocked on the door, and these two guys opened the side door and ran towards me, and he started shooting. By me being a Vietnam vet, the Vietnam kicked in. I rolled right over the hedge on the ground. He shot two of them. He didn't kill him, but he shot him. That was my first encounter. My best memories of Detroit was going to all the clubs like UBQ on Van Dyke. That was my club. East Side. Floods downtown. James Cousin on the west side. Yeah, the Tangerine Room on the river, the warehouse. That was my funnest memory because LA didn't party like Detroit. Detroit had cabarets. I had never heard of a cabaret until I moved to Detroit. I didn't know what it was. So by me being around all the guys I worked with, they was born and raised in Detroit. They took me to school in Detroit, and Detroit would always be my second home. I love Detroit.
I'm sure they're all excited to know that. You know what I'm saying? People of your stature and caliber to be able to say that, you know, so I'm sure they're home encouraged by those words. See, it ain't so bad here, Papa Snoop Dogg. He would hang with us anytime while y'all hating out here. Well, I tell you what, my brother, you know, there's a lot that goes with the mailman, right? And back in the day, they had this thing with plumbers. You know what I'm saying? They would say, like, yo, don't let the plumber in your house. He gonna be laying more than just pipe up in there. You know what I'm talking about? So when it came to the mailman, baby, you believe a lot of them were delivering more than just mail up in there.
Yes,
what were you doing, Papa Snoop?
And you talking to one of them. But let me say this: Snoop came to Detroit for the summer in 1987. Because his mom was having problems out of him, and I got him a job on 8 Mile in Woodingham, which was walking distance from where I worked at on 8 Mile in Livernois. So all the guys that's going to be in my documentary, they all knew Snoop before he became a rapper. You know what I'm saying? So me and Snoop he has history in Detroit. I got more history, but me and Snoop, every time I would come to Detroit, when I was on the road with him, we would always ride through my old neighborhood on Whitehill between Yorkshire and Houston Woodhill. But like I said, Detroit would always be my second home. I love Detroit.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we love that you shared your intimate part about Detroit up in here with us. Now, today, you know, the post office is doing what it's doing, and the drug area has changed. Right? Like, you know, when you were out there, it was the crack cocaine and heroin was doing the same. Everybody like to leave that out of that crack era, but heroin was pretty wild back then, wouldn't you say, my brother?
Very wild. I mean, a lot of guys that was dealing blow, they started dealing heroin before they started dealing blow. But like I said, I knew a whole lot of drug dealers because I was a mailman, and I saw them every day. You know what I'm saying? So it was like they knew me, I knew them. But at the end of the day, they did what they did. I did what I did, delivered the mail. But let me say this: if I went to a club and I seen some of those drug dealers at a club, they made sure I was taken care of because they knew I was the mailman. I took care of business.
Well, let's get into that a little bit here. Let's switch this over from the drug perspective over to the gang perspective because
Okay.
even today, ladies and gentlemen, there are areas where mailmen just refuse to go. Some folks got to run out to the corner to get their mail, to get their mail because their area is so bad. The mailman like, I'm not coming up in there. Okay, we just not gonna do it. So, being that you were in the area where the gangs were prevalent at, how did you maneuver through that? Did you have to get special permission? Talk to our listeners a little bit about that part.
No, here's the deal. I never had a problem. I've been in some of the worst neighborhoods, drug-infested neighborhoods, but Detroit don't have gangs. LA got gangs, okay? That was a different story, but Detroit took me to the next level because in Detroit, they didn't have gangs. Everybody did things individually. They was hardcore. I call them foot soldiers, okay? And for as me, everybody showed me love. I never had a problem because I was just like them. I walked the pavement because that was my livelihood. But at night, I was out there with them. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't dealing drugs, but I was around them all the time because that's who I am. I mean, I'm a G. Just that simple.
Just that simple, ladies and gentlemen. Well, listen, we're going to let our listeners and followers marinate on that a little bit while we take this quick break, and then we come back, y'all, and chop it up some more with the Detroit Mailman, a.k.a. Papa Snoop.
What we're trying to do is use this magazine to elevate the black community in every city around the country.
AMPS is the most respected black publication in the region.
You know, AMPS really got the city on lock. That's what's up, man. I mean, it's got something in it for the whole family.
AMPS has become like a pride piece for black people.
I like the AMPS because it shows black people making moves.
Every time I see the AMPS magazine, I feel proud.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tamika Goodman.
Everybody knows it's the best. Everywhere I go, I see AMPS magazine.
I just be looking to see who I know up in there.
I was meeting with my lawyer and he had an AMPS laying on his desk.
Advertising is about reaching the most people at the lowest price.
Every time I pick up the AMPS magazine, it's always
It's
good.
just something that makes you feel good.
Everybody knows it's the best. Everywhere I go, I see AMPS magazine.
AMPS is the most respected black publication in the
AMPS
region.
makes us proud. I look for it every time it comes out.
The magazine looks good.
I always get mine from the beauty shop.
What we're trying to do is use this magazine to elevate the black community in every city around the country.
Ooh, we are back on the real, keeping it real up in here for you today. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard Snoop Dogg playing. Why? Because we up in here chopping it up with Papa Snoop, the man who put Snoop on the planet for you to enjoy his music up in here, okay? We talking about the real OG up in here. Now, speaking about the OG, okay, your son has a certain, I'm gonna say, swag. He got his own movement, his own little thing going on. Now, did he get that from his papa? Talk to us a little about that because if you wanted to deny him, you couldn't. Let me just say that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's no way you can deny that's your seed. Okay, so give us a little bit about that. Did you put him up on much of the game that he up on or came up on? Being the OG?
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. People that know me and Snoop, they call us twins because we just collect. Snoop got my swag. He got my dad's swag. He got his mom's grandfather's swag. We all grew up together in Mississippi until they moved to California. I moved 3 years after they moved. But Snoop got a swag for me. When you see Snoop, my grandkids always tell me this. Grandpa, when I'm with you, it's like being with my dad. When I'm with my dad, it's like being with you. That's how much we alike. We look just like, and if you seen us together, you see we got the same swag.
Well, that's why I brought that up, ladies, because, I've never met you in person, my brother. Now, I have had the honor to speak to your son in person. He came to the little town here, and he dropped some jewels for me for my program at the Juvenile Detention Center. He did that, and I ain't going to never forget it. Appreciate it, And so just a few interviews that I had seen of you, I noticed some of the movements were the same. I'm like, well, what's really going on here? He really, really made an impact on Snoop because, damn, Snoop who just like him, That was my outside looking in, but I thank you for letting me know And Father, listen, know that, yes, I am correct, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, he was a heavy impact on him. When you see Snoop, you seeing his daddy, okay? I'm just saying, point blank, even the visual, you know, just not outside of just the movement, but the visual. And apparently the game, because as he's told us up here, he's an OG. Okay. All right, Papa Snoop, can we get back to the documentary up in here? Can you tell us a little bit about what you hope that this documentary will provide for people who have the opportunity to view it?
Well, it's gonna be first thing it's gonna provide is gonna show people that when I came to Detroit, I was so good at what I did. I started training carriers, and this documentary is gonna be about me starting working. I started out on the west side, 8 Mile Living North, College Park, and it's gonna show people when I moved to. I lived on the east side, but when I started working on the east side, I was around all of these drug dealers. I was around some of the biggest drug dealers it was, and during that time, Detroit was drug infested. There was a lot of empty houses, and I've always been into real estate since 1975. So my thing is like, it's the people I met. I met Barry Strong, just passed away, may rest in peace. Songwriter, wrote Just My Imagination, Cloud 9. I knew him. Duke and Levi Stubb, I was their mailman. I mean, I ran into a whole lot of people. I ran into Barry Gordon's nieces and nephews, the Clark sisters. I can go on and on because when you're a mailman, you walking. When you're driving the car, you miss things. But when you're a mailman, you form relationships. So my thing was, I got really educated in Detroit because Detroit was mostly black. L.A. is very diverse. So I was around Latinos, Asians, and stuff like that in L.A. But when I got to Detroit, it put me right back where I wanted to be at, around my people. But let me say this about Detroit. Detroit got some hardcore women. They got some hardcore guys. Some in a good way, some in a bad way. But Detroit is one hell of a city. People can talk about it all they want to. But this documentary that I'm going to do, me and Rob and Lucinda, I'm going to take you to the west side, where I worked at, east side, and you're going to see the difference. And at the end of the day, it's going to be one hell of a documentary.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, I know y'all looking forward to it just like I am up in here. Okay.
I can't wait. I can't wait to June or May when the weather get right. I'm ready to rock and roll.
I know that's right, because right now, you know, just the concept of it and the little bit that has already been produced and put out there, they are racking up awards, ladies and gentlemen. So Get yourselves ready for this, you know, when this thing really break, and you are privy. You see it, you better jump on it, because it's going to be information that you want to know, and we all can learn, because right now, black history is being snuffed out now. What kind of black history we talking about?
I'm bringing it back, though.
That's what I'm getting ready to say. Okay, thank you for putting that out there, Papa Snoop. You took the words right out of my mouth. Okay, this is what this is about. Because let me get your sentiments on what's happening right now in our world, Papa Snoop, if you don't mind. Because right now our history is trying. Some folks, you know, want it snuffed out. They want it covered. They want it to be retold in certain ways and all that type of stuff. But, you know, given a person such as yourself who actually fought for this country, right, for folks to be able to state their opinions publicly without any kind of repercussions coming behind it, for a person like yourself who has worked in the government system as an postal service employee, for a person who has done all that and has been from, you know, one side of the coin to the other side of the coin, living in L.A. and then Detroit, Mississippi, those type of things. What is your feelings about the current state of them trying to snuff out black history, and of all months for them to make it the forefront of their center, the dang Black History Month? What say you, Papa Snoop?
But let me say this. Like I said, I was born in 1949. I left Mississippi in 1966. I was there when Emmett Till got killed. I was 6 years old. Okay? Back then, it wasn't no television. Everybody had radios, right? I was there when Medgar Evers got killed. I was there when the two white guys and Cheney got killed in Philadelphia. Those are the ones that we all know about. There was way more death than got killed. But people don't realize that back when I grew up in Mississippi, we couldn't vote. Alabama was worse than Mississippi. You had George Wallace, you had Bud Corner. Back then, I drank that in different water fountains than white people did. I couldn't go into a restaurant. I mean, it's like we was all handcuffed. I had to say, yes, sir, no, sir. So I lived all this stuff. And then, after that, after the civil rights movement, I get to Vietnam, and I'm fighting the war, but I'm fighting white boys, too. It wasn't the ones from the north of New York. It was the ones from down south that was used to treating blacks any kind of way. And the guys I was with in my unit, they was in New York. They didn't play that shit, and they made me tough. So I seen everything change. 1968 was the turning point for blacks. Blacks started getting better jobs. They started when King got killed. They started getting better jobs. They started excelling in life. And back then, let me say this: back then, blacks were unified. What I'm saying today with these young black kids, they walking around with their pants hanging off their butt. They don't care. They're not motivated. Back in my day, it was the demand that you finish high school. It was the man that you went out there and got a job, bought you a house, had a family, and had a roof over your head, and made retirement. It's a different generation now. But to me, people, like I tell my grandkids, I lived it. So I passed everything that I went through to my grandkids so they'll know where the hell they came from.
Now that is powerful up in here. Thank you for sharing your background up in here, Papa Snoop, because all that you just said, you are, in fact, a history. You know what I mean? You're a walking history specimen, and your grandchildren are, I hope they understand how special that is to be able to have someone who actually, it's one thing for us to pick up a book, right, and read what happened to Emmett, read what this and what went down and how they had the separate water fountains and all that. But it's one thing to have your relatives sit you down and tell you, now this is what happened. And at night we had to do this. Okay? Now, I'm gonna flip the script a little bit up in here, ladies and gentlemen, just to put a little light on this subject, because this is heavy, what they're doing to us with our history. But let's talk about some of our food history, because being from Mississippi, you know about the food, right? And from then to now, my brother, can you tell us about what kind of flip-flopping your taste buds are going through trying to consume this genetically modified stuff that we getting in resistance, I'm going to say, to what we were accustomed to getting. Now, I'm not trying to get my age up in here. I didn't drink out no different kind of water fountains. I'm just saying, Papa Snoop. But I want you far behind you. How about that? Okay. If it wasn't for affirmative action, I wouldn't have had a job. Let me just put it that way, okay? Right. When it comes to the food source, back in the day, it wasn't nothing to go outside and wring that chicken neck, that everybody had they different animals. Everybody had their own gardens and the whole nine. Can you believe what we have come to, Papa Snoop?
Let me say this. I've been growing a garden since 1975 when I bought my first piece of property from L.A. to where I am right now. When I grew up, my mom had 12 kids. I got lucky. My dad had a landscaping business. So money has always been my least problem, but I had to work for it. Back then, my dad had almost 100 acres of land. We grew our own food. I mean, everything. Going to a grocery store back then was unheard of. We had cows, we had chickens, we had goats, we had sheep. I mean, on Sundays, after I came back from church, the Saturday afternoon, my father would take 2 or 3 chickens out the yard, because we fed them corn. The chickens you buy nowadays in the store got fat on them. The chickens I grew up with didn't have no fat. Okay, so we had chicken on Sundays. Back then, when we had vegetables every day. These kids nowadays don't eat vegetables. I eat vegetables every day because that's where I was brought up. Okay, first ham, you kill a hog, you got a smokehouse, you rub them down with salt and smoke, smoke it for about 2 months. That's your ham and that's your bacon. Okay, then you had chitlins. I mean, like I said, that hog, that pig, from the rooter to the tooter, everything on him you can eat. Now, on the real, everything on him, that Gums ever show that pig is a badass, and everybody loves it.
Okay. That's
okay,
right there.
Everybody loves him. Everybody loves him. So that's how I grew up. And guess what? I still go to the Food Depot here in Georgia where I live at. and they got the same food that I grew up with. Pigtails, pig feet, we call them trotters. Pig ears, pig nose, we call them Snoop. Here's the deal. These kids don't realize, man, a lot of kids go hungry nowadays because they like pieces and that bullshit. Where I came from, I had a full course meal. Matter of fact, I got some pig feet upstairs cooking right now. Had them cut in half. Got me some collard greens, okay, some potato salad, and some cornbread.
Oh my!
I'm still the same.
Oh my!
I'm still the same. Eat the same thing I ate in Mississippi.
Damn, you got me over here salivating now. Wait a minute, shit.
I leave
Okay.
yours in the microwave. Okay, come on by.
I wish I could. I tell you that right now, my brother, because that what you just described sounds good to me. But unfortunately, these kids, they have no clue what you talk about. Half of them don't even know where the potato come from. All they know is
they don't know where it come from.
Food joints and get it.
But you know what? I'm finna write a book about how to grow your own food, because people don't realize my garden cost me $50, right? I started eating in July, and I eat up into October, okay? I want a tomato, cucumbers, or peppers, or whatever, you grow what you like to eat, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people right now are vegetarians, right? And I'm not. Like I said, I grew up eating meat because my dad was a meat lover. We grew up eating rabbits, squirrels. People got to realize, 1949, we was just coming up as blacks. Think about it. Look at these documentaries. 1949, when I was born, I went to the 50s, 60s to where I am right now. I know that I have the survival skills. If something went down right now, I'll survive. These young kids couldn't. They can't. All they know is computers and cell phones. They would not survive, though. Am I right or wrong?
Oh, my goodness. That's why we're having this conversation, my brother, because you are 100% correct. They have no clue what's going on. And thank you for indulging me in that conversation about the state of our food, the state of our people. And, right now, Papa Snoop, since we here talking about what you don't know and don't get, can I get you to put some kind of word of encouragement, enlightenment, something uplifting or inspirational out there for somebody that's listening in on this conversation today that need to hear something good? What you got?
What I want to do, I want to give inspiration to these young people, okay? Because, like I said, I'm OG. I'm 73 years old. And I'm telling them the same thing I told my grandkids. When you finish high school, your journey starts right then. Your hardest part of life is from high school until you turn 30 years old, because you're lost. You're searching. I've been there. You've been there. Everybody been there. I always tell them, 2 years before you graduate, get you a game plan on what you're gonna do. If you're going to college, get ready for college. If you want to go to trade school, get ready for trade school. You're going to the military, get ready for that. But have you a game plan. You just don't finish school and all of a sudden you graduate, but you're lost. Have some kind of sense of direction on where you're going. And let me say this, like I told my grandkids, you got to go out there and bust your behind while you're young, okay? Because if you don't do that and don't take care of your business, if you're not really at a point at 30 years old to where you kind of half-ass selling, okay, you got a problem. If you're 40 years old and you haven't made no progress, you got a minor problem. When you turn 50 and you ain't this shit, you got a major problem. So you got to do it while you're young, because as you get older, your body starts changing, and you start getting lazy. I took care of my business from 20 years old to where I am right now, so I can lay back. I'm set for the rest of my life. You know why? I paid my dues. It's like you go to the store, you got to pay your dues. You go to church, you got to pay your tithes. In life, you have to pay your dues. Am I right or wrong?
There you go. He put it out there. That's for sure, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't make it happen, it ain't going to happen, okay? And that's for real, for real. There are many wishing they had received that advice years ago. Right. And
but the reason why they did receive, because most kids nowadays grow up with a single parent, and 9 times out of 10, for me being a mailman, their moms are young, and their mom, these young guys nowadays, their mom pet them and stuff like that. My dad brought all of us up how to be a man and how to be a woman. Okay, I was a man ahead of my time because of my dad. Okay, he was a workaholic. Oliver Varnado was my dad's favorite. Ran their own business. I came from a business environment, They had money, but guess what? That was their money. But the one thing they did, they taught me how to take care of money and how to work and go out there and get my own. My dad would always tell me, you can have anything in the world you want if you're willing to work. End of story.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah.
Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? That's in the story. If you go out there and get it, you can get it.
Thank you. That's why my son is where he is, because I put that in Snoop's head at 13 years old. I would always tell him, don't be like me. Be better than me. Don't do what I do. Do what I say do, and you'll be all right. And here he is right there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Here he is right there. Yes, we understand. Y'all better take up on what this man telling y'all up here. You see where his child at. Let's try to get this.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for spitting it real up in here on The Real is Real. We really appreciate you taking your time out with us today and doing that. Audience, please make sure that you get ready for this wonderful documentary that's circulating already across the waters over there, racking up all kinds of awards. Lucinda and Rob Boyd putting it down for the Trapped in the Hood. And Mr. Varnado has been gracious enough to come in here today and talk with us about it, and we appreciate you in doing that, King. Now, before we let you go, that was your word of advice for the youngsters out here. You know, we got a whole bunch of folks in my age bracket that can use some encouragement, because right now, you know, Papa Snoop, in other countries, they honor their senior citizens, you know?
Right.
They respect them and they uplift them. But here we seem to be lacking a little bit. You know, we done took Big Mama and just cast her to the side and, you know, all that stuff. So, anyway, you know what I'm talking about up here. We don't get no respect.
Yeah. Really none at all. Like I said, they come from these kids coming from one parent family. My mom and dad was married for almost 48 years before my dad passed, so I grew up on the iron fist. But one thing I can thank my mom and dad for, they had 12 kids and none of us never been in trouble. Nobody. We all went out there and did good for ourselves. We all retired, so job well done. But like I said, some of these old people, like I said, if you're a grandfather, spend more time with your grandkids. I spend a whole lot of time with my grandkids. I fly to L.A. all the time, hanging with my grandkids. Okay, be the best grandfather you can be. Because a lot of my grandson's friends, they see their grandfather maybe every 2 or 3 years. My grandkids see me 12 to 13 times a year in L.A. And when I'm out there, I don't hang with Snoop. I hang with them. I pay my dues with Snoop. Snoop is doing well for himself. He did just what I told him to do, better than me. Now I'm working on my grandkids. They doing real good, okay? I got great grandkids, 6 and finna have number 7. My job as a grandfather is to let them know when the hell they came from so they'll know when the hell they going, okay?
End of discussion, ladies and gentlemen. So please share with your grandchildren where the hell they come from and where the hell they should be going. Okay?
Right.
Get them straight on the right path up in here.
Right. Yep.
Thank you. We appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for giving us Snoop. I cannot tell you how grateful a lot of the world is for that seed that you dropped. You know, you dropped some good seeds up here today, but that seed you dropped many years ago has really done us all a lot of good in many ways.
Thank you.
Well, job well done, my brother. Job well done.
Thank you.
All right. Please tell them where they can keep up with you and follow with you and all of that.
Okay. My Instagram page is Pop Snoop, P-O-P Snoop. One word. Just follow me on Instagram and hit me on the DM, and I got you, okay? It's real easy. I mean, I'm not really up on this new technology. My grandkids are, but just put Pop Snoop, P-O-P Snoop. Hit me up on the DM, and I got you covered.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Pop Snoop, you want to say anything? A shout out to anybody up in here before we let you go?
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to you. I want to give a shout out to Rob and his wife, Lucinda. I really want to thank them for what they did for me. I tell them all the time. I am so grateful because I've had so many people that made me promises and that didn't show up. And God, and even though Snoop's mom had passed away, that's how I met them. That's how I really got a chance to talk to them. And like Rob said, from Snoop's mom, may she rest in peace, to me, now it's on me to to keep what they had going, and I just want to take everything to the next level. I want to tell Beverly Sue's mom, I would always love you. Rest in peace. I want to thank Rob and Lucinda once again. Like I said, they're the backbone behind what I'm doing. I love them for it. And like I said, I just want to thank them. What more can I say?
I think you said it plenty, my brother, and I'm sure they are more than appreciative of it. And so am I for the work that they're doing with that organization, The Street Don't Love You Back, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Please Google that, look into it. If you can, make donations because it's all good in the hood for what they're doing. All right? Woo!
All right.
All right, y'all. Hold tight, Papa Snoop, if you would, please. Let me get this thing shut down. Just hold tight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. If you missed his information, you know what you do. You simply hit us up right here on your favorite radio show, right here on one of your favorite radio stations, www.ampsradio.com. Now, I've been your girl, China Doll, bringing you that and I'll be back with it, same place, same time next time, on the real. And that's real.